The brain is the most powerful muscle you'll ever use, and the beauty of it is, it can grow stronger every day. Welcome to Beyond Unlikely to Unlimited, the podcast where we explore the incredible power of neurodevelopment and the limitless potential of neuroplasticity. I'm your host, Stephanie Anderson, and I'm so glad you've joined me today. Together, we're diving into how the brain can adapt, heal, and transform, giving us new hope for challenges that once seemed insurmountable. Today's episode is called Decoding the Auditory Maze. And let me tell you, it's going to be both enlightening and fun. We're uncovering what auditory processing really means and why it's more than just hearing. You'll learn how the brain makes sense of the sounds we hear, or doesn't, and the ripple effects this has on communication, learning, and everyday life. Whether you're here as a parent, a teacher, or someone curious about how our brains work, this episode is for you. So let's dive into the auditory maze together and discover how neuroplasticity can pave the way to breakthrough moments and lasting change. Now, before we jump into today's content, I want to remind you, the brain is amazing. And so are you. No matter what challenges you or your loved ones may face, there's always hope for change. Let's go on this journey together. So, let's start by answering a simple but important question. What is auditory processing? If you're thinking it's just about hearing, you're not alone. But there's so much more to it. Auditory processing is how our brain takes the sounds we hear and makes sense of them. It's like a translator that converts noise into meaning. When this process works well, we can understand conversations, follow instructions, and even enjoy music effortlessly. But when there's a breakdown, things can get messy. Imagine playing a game of telephone. You start with a clear message, but by the time it reaches the last person, it's completely jumbled. That's what happens in the brain when auditory processing isn't working properly. Sounds come in, but the brain scrambles them, making it hard to understand what's being said or remember it accurately. I'm excited to share insights from Dr. Emily Carter, a neurodevelopmental expert who has spent years studying how auditory processing affects learning and behavior. She explains that one of the biggest misconceptions about auditory processing is that it's a hearing problem. In reality, hearing is often perfectly fine. The issue lies in how the brain interprets sounds. For example, individuals with auditory challenges might hear bat instead of cat, or struggle to follow multi-step instructions because the sequence of sounds gets jumbled in their memory. Neurodevelopmentalists look for certain tones and sounds that may be missing or underdeveloped. Sometimes it's as simple as not hearing a specific letter sound, like the H in words. Other times it's more complex, like when background noise drowns out important sounds, or when certain sounds become painfully loud because the brain isn't filtering them properly. But here's the exciting part. The brain's neuroplasticity means we can actually retrain these pathways. Through sound therapy and targeted interventions, we can help the brain learn to process sounds correctly. It's like building new roads in the brain, creating clearer pathways for sound to travel. That's a great foundation to build on. In the next segment, we'll dive into a fun example to show how these challenges play out in real life. Okay, it's time for some fun. Let's explore how auditory memory issues can make even simple tasks hilariously complicated. To do that, I want you to imagine this scenario. It's lunchtime, and you're placing an order at your favorite burger joint. You confidently tell the server, "I'd like a cheeseburger, no pickles, extra ketchup." Sounds simple enough, right? But here's where the fun begins. Imagine your brain's auditory memory is slightly scrambled. Instead of hearing your order clearly, the server hears, "I'd like cheese, no burger, pickles, extra something." Suddenly, your straightforward request turns into a confusing puzzle. You end up with a bun, pickles, and a side of ketchup, but no burger or cheese. This, my friends, is what it's like for someone with auditory memory challenges. Everyday conversations and instructions can feel like trying to solve a riddle with missing pieces. And while this example is lighthearted, the real-world impact can be much more serious. Think about a child in a classroom who mishears the steps to complete an assignment. They might feel frustrated, embarrassed, or even give up altogether. These challenges aren't just about miscommunication. They can affect confidence, relationships, and learning. But here's the good news. Just like we can improve our physical memory with practice, we can strengthen our auditory memory too. By engaging in targeted neurodevelopmental exercises, we can help the brain become more efficient at processing and retaining sounds. Coming up next, I'll share some practical strategies to help identify and support auditory processing challenges in yourself or others. Let's talk about practical ways to identify and support auditory processing challenges. If you or someone you know struggles to keep up with verbal instructions, mishears words, or gets overwhelmed in noisy environments, these could be signs of an auditory processing difficulty. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to patterns and triggers. One story from hopefuture.org shares how a family noticed their child consistently struggled with reading aloud in class. The issue wasn't reading ability, it was that she couldn't process the teacher's instructions quickly enough. Through targeted auditory exercises, her confidence grew and her performance improved dramatically. Another example comes from brainsprints.com, where an adult client discovered their lifelong difficulty following group conversations was tied to poor auditory filtering. With intervention, they learned to prioritize voices over background noise, transforming their social interactions. Here are a few strategies to try. Environmental adjustments. Reduce background noise during important conversations. Using noise-canceling headphones or choosing quieter settings can make a huge difference. Listen to audiobooks. Using stories with little or no music background, listen for 10-minute sessions. If you have a small Bluetooth speaker, move it to different distances and locations in the room you are listening in every 3 minutes. Auditory processing exercises. Work with a neurodevelopmental professional to engage in specific activities designed to build auditory filtering and comprehension. These might include sound therapy, processing exercises, rhythm and timing exercises, sound identification games, or simple memory games. Strengthen auditory memory. Request a free auditory processing test at info@beginagain.international.com. Once you have determined your auditory processing level, you can take advantage of free instruction to improve auditory memory or sign up for a neurodevelopmental orientation or coaching sessions. Remember, the key is consistency. Small, intentional efforts over time can lead to significant changes. The brain's ability to rewire and adapt means that even deeply rooted challenges can be addressed with the right approach. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to remember one crucial thing. Your brain's incredible capacity for change is real and scientifically proven. Every small step you take toward improving auditory processing is rewiring your neural pathways for the better. If today's episode resonated with you, I encourage you to take action. Share this information with someone who might need it. The more we spread awareness about auditory processing challenges, the more people we can help. And speaking of help, remember that we have a wealth of resources available on our website. You'll find links to all the tools and strategies we discussed today in our show notes. Before we go, I'd love to hear your stories. Have you experienced auditory processing challenges? What strategies have worked for you? Leave a comment, send us a message, or connect with us on social media. This is Stephanie Anderson, reminding you that your brain is powerful, adaptable, and ready for positive change. Until next time on Beyond Unlikely to Unlimited, keep believing in the power of neuroplasticity. And remember, you're not just coping, you're transforming. Thank you for listening.